I knew you were. Well, cheers.
Here's my friend. Here's to a great conversation.
Montana to Florida. Woo!
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait for you to get here. The beach
I
is
know, I'm excited.
so beautiful. Oh my gosh, when I took the VIP folks from last weekend, beautiful sunny day, perfect temperature, a little breeze, but it was absolutely gorgeous. Anyway.
Nice.
So, all right. Money, love, and power. I can think of a million reasons why we need to do this. why we need to create this workshop.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I would like is for us to talk about what has led us to this. Like, what have you seen in your life that it makes you so fired up that you want to have, a workshop called Money, Love, and Power with me, and for us to teach women some tools so they can get right with those three things, so they can show up in the world. Like, what have you seen in your, so money, so let's take money. That's your big expertise. Mm-hmm. What have you seen that makes you want to, change the world, change it for women?
I think the biggest thing, and it's not just what I've seen, it's what I've experienced myself as well. Mm-hmm. I think the biggest thing, like in the crash of 2008, and yes, I know that was a long time ago. That was
it feels like yesterday.
I know, right? Because the recovery period is long. What was interesting to me about that time, because my company was myself driven to my knees during that time. Mm-hmm. with the losses, and not everybody was in that boat. And so as I began to learn and watch and grow through my own disappointments and my own disbeliefs, how something like that could happen, what I learned was there was Kitty's going to join us.
I know, I love it. Yeah. I hope we can have some kitties at our workshop. No, we can't. Right. But somebody will be allergic, so we can't do that. Anyway, yes.
What I learned was it didn't have to be that way. I think that on both sides of the fence, like on the banking side, on the investing side, in the big houses, and then on the side of the consumer and the side of the user and the person on the ground in the economy making the difference in everybody's life, right, in their family and in their community. It was such a lack of knowledge that made us that vulnerable. And it was such a lack of, and such a degree of greed on the other side that made it so easy for them to accelerate that level of greed. And I think that it's born out of a level of, money's too hard. I've never learned about it. My family doesn't have it. I don't want to be one of those people. All of those conversations that come from really not knowing and really not having any systems and structures and processes of how to handle money and how to work with money. And that if we had more people in a position of power who had money, who were community focused and globally minded and came from the win-win space,
yes,
that number one, it would have never happened, and number two, there would be fewer people that were afraid to even learn what money's about. Instead, money's this big thing, especially in our culture, that has so much emotion and shame and story and history around it, that if we can just put it in its right place as the tool that supports our mission, supports our vision, those kinds of things, then things like 2008 just don't have any place to take a foothold, which I think empowers us.
It does. And then what comes to my mind is if I know the tools and have the tools, then can I avoid getting caught in something like that so that I don't have to be suffering at the whim of a recession? People are talking like there's another recession coming, and
and there is. Yeah.
Oh, so like it's really important then to learn
Yeah.
as many of the tools as we can immediately,
Hmm.
right? So
So
I'm
that
not going to get caught.
we can weather it no matter what happens. I mean,
Right.
that's, as I watched the people who weathered 2008,
Hmm.
the ability to bob and weave, if you will, was really strong. And that's what they did. And they just kept on moving. And then when things shifted here, they came back, and here, I mean the United States, then they were able to do work here again in the way that they were used to before, but in a manner where they can always be able to shift whatever's into whatever's next for them.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's how we need to be. We need to be able to flow with
Hmm.
whatever's happening, so that the mission and the vision continues regardless of what's going on in the world or in life.
So I'm relating to that a lot. So my experience certainly, and then the women that I serve in my work, in my business, I have seen how the worry about money, the worry about survival, totally stalls us in our tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have these big ideas and these big missions, and we have a purpose, and we are on fire about our purpose, and we want to go out there and get it done. But when we're starting to run into fear for our survival, when's the next paycheck coming in, or when is, then we lose that fire, because our brain goes into this whole other mode of I'm not gonna make it here. I can't think about, you know, bringing something beautiful to the world right now. I've got to make sure I've got a roof over my head. So
Mm-hmm.
it's such an interrupting signal, such a distraction
Yeah,
from purpose.
absolutely. I mean, money touches every area of our life. It's like I was having a conversation the other day with an attorney, and he was talking about, well, I work with some estates where, we just have to plan for all the money to go to the medical system, and the heirs just have to plan on getting nothing. I'm like, no, that's the wrong
Oh my-
system. No, okay, broken system. We need to work it in a different way. And just being able to have a conversation that focuses on the win-win instead of the loss, or containment, or
yeah.
it's a different kind of conversation, and it's not one where that a lot of rooms get to have. And that's why I'm so excited about this, because
Yeah.
we actually get to plant seeds of a different conversation.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine? Like I'm imagining unleashing a room full of women into the economy of this
Mhm.
country, and for maybe we'll even have some international women there. And what is that going to do in the
Mhm.
larger system, the ecosystem, of
Yes.
the global economy, or this country's economy? How can we begin to shift a tide and create
Mhm.
a new way of thinking about it?
And that's exactly what it's going to take. It's that different way of thinking and being able to embrace. Um, like, remember we watched that movie, The Laundromat,
Yeah. Was it the
and how
laundromat? Okay, yeah,
the
laundromat.
laundromat,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
and how it's totally geared to push your buttons that people with money are this way, right?
Yeah.
But as I watched it, I kept hearing, and this is all legal, and this is all legal, and this is all legal. You just have to learn the game, and then take the game and use it for win-win, instead of
Hmm.
what we were seeing in the movie, a win-loss, right?
Right.
Which was
Well,
painting people with money that way. Yeah.
I can relate to that one too. Um,
Mhm.
I know women in the communities that I have touched into here and there. I've heard about women who actually have bad feelings about money, like, oh,
Mhm.
I shouldn't be pursuing money, or oh, that's so materialistic, or oh, it's so unspiritual.
Mhm.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
really? Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
And I have been in a position at points in my life, because my family didn't have money, when I was growing up, we were pretty poor when we lived in the country in the middle of nowhere. And so, there's this belief system that you either have to work like a dog, to have money, and or reject money outright, like, oh, I'm above all that. And really what that's about is I can't get it, therefore I'm going to make it inferior to me. I'm going to pretend I'm above all that. But really it's either way that's so out of balance, because we need money to survive. We need money to pay for things, but not only that, it takes money to reach the people that we are here to reach, right? I mean, I couldn't have been reaching the people I've reached in the last 2 years on my book tour without money.
Mm-hmm.
I had to travel all over Tarnation, and I had, hotel rooms and planes, and, it's a lot. It takes money to get to your people. So it's sort of like you've got to get okay with money.
You do. And it's one thing to desire to have money and have a job for it, such as whatever your mission and your vision is. But then you have to be willing to learn to manage it. Like, you can't just have a whole bunch of money and not know what to do with it, or it's just going to fly right through your hands. And so whether it's for good or not, right, you have to learn the game. And too often the game has been painted as one that's really difficult to learn.
Or evil.
Or evil to learn,
Yeah.
And it's not. Money, I think, is one of the most incredible teachers in the world for us, because it's global, right? It's everybody needs it, or desires it, or uses it for good or for bad, whatever they use it for. And because there's not a lot of safe places to have healthy conversations around money, and how to use it, and how to manage it, and how to be in relationship with it. So it's the tool it's meant to be, and not something that defines who you are. It's just that it's something that's lacking that we get to bring to the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that. The way you're talking about it makes me feel like something I used to say to clients about making money your friend, like treat it like you would any relationship. Like if you value a relationship, then you tend to it.
Mm-hmm.
You take care of it. If you value your teeth, you brush them twice a day. If you don't, well, then,
Yeah.
But
you don't lose all your teeth overnight. Eventually
it'll happen. Yeah. So it's like it's sort of like bring attention to this thing that is so, it may be one of those top relationships in our lives. I mean, we say, our relationship to our spouses, our children, our families, to God. Money is probably right close, if in that top 10, certainly, of those something we touch every single day. Every single day.
Yeah. And think about, how do you do money on your own? And then how do you do money with a spouse? And then how do you do money with your children? What are you teaching them, right? And then when you go out into the community, how do you do money? And into the world, how do you do money? Just like if we go back to the 2008 example, like, just because a banker tells you you can qualify for a $500,000 loan doesn't mean you need a $500,000 loan, right? but you have to know that. Yeah, and I think that's part of the picture that we have, just like we've learned we've had to take our healthcare into our own hands.
Yeah.
We really have to take our money into our own hands too.
Ooh, I like that.
Care about your money like you're going to care about your money.
Take your money care.
Yeah, it's not about the money. It's about what the money's going to do. About the vision, about the mission, about the purpose of what it is that you're wanting to accomplish in life. And I always tell my clients, your vision and how you want to live life is good and right and perfect for you. Yeah. That's a gift for you, right? Because my vision's different. than yours. You
Yeah.
know, the kind of house I want to live in, the kind of car I want to drive, the kind of school I want to send my kids to, the kind of things I want to do in my community and my world. That's my vision. That's my gift to live out, right? And my calling to live out. But if I don't learn how to embrace this tool called money, I'm not going to get to live it out the way that is in my mind to do, which is where the love and the power come into play, right?
Ah, yeah. Okay. Well, that's really a nice, I mean, that ties right in then to love. And so here's my fear is that because love is in the title, money, love, and power for women on a mission, that people are going to think we mean we're going to teach you how to catch a man. That's not what we're doing, though, is it?
No, not at all.
So it's more like what we're going to share is how love is really at the base of everything that drives us to do good in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that the more we allow love to inform us and drive us, that the more the doors just open.
Yeah.
And the more that we love ourselves, the more that we trust this feeling of calling and don't doubt ourselves. Because women, oh my gosh, we're so the self-doubt and the shooting down that we sometimes do of ourselves and each other. Oh gosh, each other sometimes too. That love really is the grease for the wheels. And that when we get okay with that and just go ahead and move into, okay, I'm just choosing love is my guide. Love is the engine. Love is the fuel. The money is the wind under the wings. but love is what's driving me to be in the world and want to support and help and share something important with the world. So getting clear, that love is really all there is when you get down to it, and that money is an expression of love. And that our mission, the feeling of having a purpose and a message and something that we're here to do is absolutely an expression of the love of the divine, God, creator.
It's like that living life to its fullest. When we come from a space of scarcity of money, scarcity of love, scarcity of our ability, that I certainly have you have to work really hard, and you have to you got to do it all by yourself, and all of those kinds of things that keep life contained in a certain way. But when you can open up and embrace the love and the gifts and receive what is available to support you in the vision and the gifts that you have. Like I know from my own experience of working with you in the last year, it's just so opened up a peacefulness, a joyfulness, and a sense of abundance that is, there's a fullness of life to that I can't describe, but I know is real. And being able to receive that love has made a huge difference in being able to take the next step in my own visions and my own desires of fulfillment in life.
Thank you for that. And it's reminding me of how much, when you say you opened up, like how your business opened up, and then a whole nother level too, when you relaxed and let it, come.
There had to be another way to do it, because the way I was doing it was going to be the death of me.
Well, it's like you were saying before about money, that, the recession didn't have to happen the way it did. And so it's the same,
another way to do it.
Yeah, it's the same here. We don't have to be in this place of fear and doubt and scarcity, and that there's
and drive.
and
there's a push instead of
the
a
push.
receiving.
Yes,
Yeah.
like the boulder has to be going uphill all the time instead of being in a more balanced place. I mean, this is not to say we have to, we have to work sometimes. Of course we have to work. There's effort involved, but it's more let the universe hold you while you're doing what you've got to do, because it's got your back. And that relaxing into that feeling of being held it just opens the doors of abundance.
Yeah, truly does. Truly does.
And strangely, it also opens the doors of other kinds of love, but we're not going to promise that, right? But other love that's how other love comes in too, Yeah.
True. And in many, many different ways in life, because we have so many different relationships all around us all the time. Yeah. It's good.
I think a lot about love being the ocean that we're swimming in, but like the fish that are in the ocean say, what water? Water? What water? Because they're swimming in it, they can't see it or sense it, or it's sort of
interesting.
Like it's under our nose. We're breathing it. It's in between our atoms.
Yeah.
But
it's a concept, and it's like a light bulb that goes on, right?
Yeah. Peter, my husband, you know him. He can come up with some pretty interesting concepts, and he thinks of love as the glue that kind of holds everything together. And he really has an understanding about that I envy sometimes. Like he just knows it in his being that love is what we are. And when we identify with that, then things work out.
Yeah, because then the come from is always from love. And whatever you do, whatever actions you take, whether it's with money, with people, with yourself, it's from that win-win space, because it's about love and it's not about taking in any way, shape, or form.
It's actually it's a win-win-win, isn't it? Because it's win, win, win.
It's true.
You, me, and we win. We all win. That is an expression of love, for sure. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm rolling with that. How about power?
Power's an interesting one. It's just like money, right? Like people see it as one of those things that's bad,
like,
or one of the, right? Yeah, I don't want to be one of those people,
right?
Or to embrace power for the strength and the leadership and it's like all three of those, money, love, and power, in balance. Holy moly, right? Then you're just rolling towards that vision and enrolling the people and finding the resources that bring it all together.
And doing it in a way where everybody is getting supported. It's again that win-win-win. Yeah, I've seen certainly plenty of women, and again myself, over my decades of being in business and struggling with showing up as a powerful leader, and those internal governors that I think I internalized from the culture, maybe, and maybe growing up, and in the South, a girl's supposed to be quiet and nice and polite, and you don't speak your mind, that's for sure. And so overcoming some of those governors while not throwing out the goodness, it's like power, true power, being defined as true goodness amplified. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And so what's coming to mind for me is balancing that masculine, feminine, especially for us as women with power, right? Because coming out of the corporate world, I was in banking for so many years, in male-dominated space, and I'm not a little girl, and so being able to
How
be.
How tall are you?
5'11".
All right.
Yep.
I love it.
and holding my own space while still being a woman, but not, I'm not the girl who's going to go get the coffee, right?
Ooh,
Like I was there as a professional right beside them.
yeah.
And I had to fight for that. That was back in the 80s, early
Right.
80s. I had to
Wow.
fight for that space. And so then you have to be careful of not being labeled, you know,
The B word?
yeah, that one. Yeah. and and then learning how to be a powerful woman and still be feminine. That's been a true journey for me,
Mhm.
to embrace both sides of that masculine feminine when it comes to power and what that looks like. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to bring the unit work into that.
Hmm.
The partnering of feminine
Yes.
and masculine energy, and then being able to define, this is what feminine energy actually is, and this is what masculine
Yeah.
energy actually is, and what it looks like when they work together is like kaboom, all the
Hmm.
circuits plug in, and then power is established. And I love that, we have power companies to have our electricity turned on in our house. We have to write a check to the power company, and it's like
Hmm.
power plugged in. Yes, okay. This is going to make a lot of sense. There's a lot of fun ways to talk about this.
Yeah.
Um, and power being like separating out, teasing out how women are afraid of power.
Hmm.
Like afraid to be seen as leaders, because it's not
Hmm.
just, we don't get shot down by men only sometimes, but also by other women.
Hmm.
And we're so relational in our brain. A woman's brain is very much about community and connection. And, because of that, that more whole brain approach that women tend to have because of our corpus callosum being thicker, it's like we care so much what other people think.
Hmm.
And we don't want to separate ourselves out from the herd, because that feels like bragging or standing out, or but when we're actually standing in true power, it feels like we kind of put our arms around everybody else around us, and we all go together,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
not like I'm gonna run ahead and stomp on everybody. I'm gonna actually gather up and take people with me, take other women with me.
Yeah. There's a saying, a world that works for everyone with no one left out.
Hmm.
And when I think of a world that would be led by women who, that's just the way women operate, right? With no one left
Hmm.
out.
Hmm.
Um, and as opposed to um, you have to be this way, or you have to be, um, or us and them, or over and down, as opposed to the power of inclusion and the power of yes,
Power with.
yes, and walking side by side, and that there is enough for everybody, and that it will take everybody, and not just a few, in order to have the kind of world and the kind of place that we're proud to leave the next generation or two down the road.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I think that's the big reason that I am doing this.
Hmm.
I mean, really, I mean, getting super serious, for a second, that's the thing that keeps me awake at night. That's the thing
Hmm.
that drives me to get to work every day when I don't necessarily feel like working, or
Hmm.
it's like, oh my gosh, the babies, the
Hmm.
ones coming up who are going to look back at us and be like, really?
What were you
Did you do
thinking?
the best you could? I mean, seriously. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh, anything I can do right
Hmm.
now, I'll be able to die happy, feeling like I did the best I could.
Yeah. And I think having clarity in that kind of legacy that you want to leave,
Mhm.
um, again, is another piece of the conversation we're going to get to have with people, that Like, you don't go to a dinner party and have that kind of conversation, right? And how many families or couples really have the time apart to even sit still long enough to think about that clarity, and then to learn about what are all the moving parts, the money, the love, the power that's going to leave that legacy. Because having that clarity is a huge driver in being willing to embrace new methods or embrace new thoughts, or to be willing to take different kinds of action steps. And I think whenever we can give ourselves the gift of time apart, we get to sit back and take a minute and take a breath and really learn those kinds of things. And
Yeah.
that then will make all the tools and the things that we want to share with people, they'll be able to put it in their tool belt and rock and roll with it, because they'll have that level of clarity.
Right. So this is not just a philosophical
No.
workshop, where this is experiential. So we're teaching tools in all three of these areas, action. We're going to do exercises there too, right? We're going to have this, great room on the beach.
Woo-hoo!
You can even
in January. Oh yeah, when it's snowing here at home.
Right? You're going to be so happy you're here. But so experiences, and then takeaway tools, and some practical stuff. Like you're gonna give us some things about like planning kind of stuff with money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And ooh, I think there's a one of those army jets flying by or something.
Oh.
Anyway, I was just this is not a come and rah, sellathon. It's just you and me, and really digging in, and safe space to examine the things that stop us from fulfilling our purpose, fulfilling our mission. And that we've got to make peace with these three things of money, love, and power in order to get our work done. We have to impact the people. We have to be friends with money, love, and power. We just have to. That's just the way it is.
And there's no right time or wrong time to start. The trick is to start exactly where you are, and know that you'll always be asking these questions of money, love, and power as you continue along the journey of your vision, whatever that is. Because life is always going to happen, and things are always going to shift and change. And so it's having the tools to be able to deal with those things in life as they come along. And that's what we're going to share.
I'm recognizing totally what you're talking about in my own life, where I started at the bottom, very poor, to building, sort of that spiral that people talk about, how we kind of move in a spiral as we evolve and grow. And as I move through these different phases of my life, and I grow as a leader, and as a businesswoman, and as an entrepreneur, and as a, whatever it is, that I do need to learn and apply. It may be the same tool, but at a different level.
Yes.
Too. So there may be women who are coming in who are just beginning. They're on fire for their mission, but they're just starting. Or there may be women who come in who are established, but they're ready to go to another level. And I think that's important too, that someone like me, I'm going to get a lot out of this because I'm at this level here, but I want to go higher. I want to take it to a whole new impact, this next year, this new decade. A decade, a new decade. I really want to go for it, and make my kids proud, So,
yeah, and I think once you have things established, that's when those visions become they're knocking louder on the door, right? It's like, okay, it's time. Time is that ultimate leveler for all of us. We have no guarantees how many days that we get to have.
Yeah.
And so it's just, when your vision is calling you, it's like, okay, it's time for me to learn these next steps. It's just time.
I'm so excited. I can't wait. Well, I feel like we have a good baseline. I think we've
Okay.
got it, so we can just get together and finish fleshing out the details and the tools, and this feels really good. I'm stoked. I can't wait.
I am too. I'm excited.
Cheers.
All right. Cheers. Yes.